Have you ever walked into a room that feels both incredibly stylish and strangely familiar, like it has a soul? That's the magic of modern vintage.
But let's be honest, for years, vintage in a modern space could often tip into feeling like your grandma's attic, or, on the flip side, so sterile that the vintage piece just looked lonely.
Well, that's all changing in 2025. We're moving away from the stark, cold minimalism and the overcluttered maximalism, and we're landing in a beautiful, warm, and intentional middle ground. It's a style that's not about recreating the past, but about curating a home with depth, story, and sustainability. A home that feels collected over time, not bought in one weekend. So, if you're ready to create a space that is uniquely yours, that has character without being chaotic, and that embraces the future while honoring the past, you are in the right place. In this video, we're diving deep into the 5 modern vintage decor ideas that are genuinely trending right now. These aren't just fleeting fads. They are fundamental shifts in how we think about designing our homes. And trust me, idea number 5 has completely changed the way I approach lighting for my clients. We're going to talk about everything from the one ugly pattern that's making a huge comeback to how to choose the perfect vintage statement piece that won't overwhelm your space. So, grab a notebook, get comfortable, and let's get started. Idea number 1. Warm minimalism meets the well-loved wood. The first idea is the foundation of the entire 2025 modern vintage look, and it's called warm minimalism. For the last decade, we were obsessed with cool grays and stark whites. But now, we're craving warmth, comfort, and a sense of ease. The minimalism part is about clean lines and uncluttered spaces. It's the less is more philosophy. But the warm part, that's where the vintage comes in. Think of it as a neutral canvas. Your walls might be a soft, warm white like Swiss coffee, or a gentle earthy tone like Saharan sand. Your larger furniture pieces the sofa. The bed frame might be simple, modern, and streamlined. This creates a calm, breathable base. Now, here's the key. Instead of accessorizing with more new, mass-produced items, we introduce character through well-loved wooden vintage pieces. A Danish teak sideboard from the 60s. A solid oak dining table with a few dings that tell a story, or a set of mismatched but beautifully worn wooden chairs. The trick is in the finish. We're not looking for vintage pieces that have been stripped and refinished to look brand new. We want to see the patina, the gentle wear on the arms of a chair, the subtle variations in the wood grain, the faint watermark on a tabletop that speaks of decades of family dinners. This patina is what injects soul into the clean, modern base. It immediately makes a room feel lived in and loved, avoiding that showroom feel that so many people want to escape. So, how do you implement this? Start with your biggest surface. If you have a modern dining table, don't pair it with matching new chairs. Hunt for vintage wooden chairs. They don't even have to be a perfect set. A cohesive stain or a similar design error can tie them together. The imperfection is the point. It's this juxtaposition, the flawless modern line against the storied, textured wood, that creates a dynamic and deeply inviting space. It's a home that says, I have style, but I also have a history. Idea number 2, the quiet luxury textural play. Now, let's talk about luxury, but not the loud, logo-heavy luxury of the past. The trend for 2025 is quiet luxury, and it's all about sophisticated, tactile texture. This is where you can really have fun blending contemporary fabrics with vintage finds. The goal is to create a sensory experience that feels rich and nuanced, not through high price tags, but through intelligent, thoughtful combinations. Imagine your modern foundation, a deep, comfortable sofa in a solid, neutral-colored velvet or a high-quality linen. This is your stage. Now, let's add the layers. This is where you bring in vintage textiles. Think of a heavily patterned, faded Persian rug thrown over a neutral jute base, or a chenille bedspread from the 1970s in a muted tonal pattern draped over the end of a platform bed. The key here is that the patterns are often subdued. The colors are earthy or tonal, but the textures are complex and inviting. This trend is a direct reaction to the flat, digital world we live in. We crave things we can touch, fabrics that have weight and substance. A vintage wool tartan blanket, a hand-knitted throw pillow, a silk scarf framed as art. These items add a layer of history and craftsmanship that a new, perfectly printed pillow from a big box store simply cannot replicate. They feel special, one of a kind, and deeply personal. To master this, I want you to run your hands over everything in your space. Does it feel smooth, rough, nubby, silky? A great combination is pairing 3 different textures. For example, on a modern armchair, layer a smooth leather cushion with a chunky knit throw and rest it on a vintage sheepskin rug. It's not about color chaos, it's about textural harmony. This approach makes your home feel like a sanctuary, a place that engages all the senses and offers a quiet, comforting embrace at the end of a long day. Idea number 3. Curvilinear. Everything the softening effect. If there's one silhouette defining 2025, it's the curve. We are seeing a massive move away from sharp angles and harsh geometric lines towards soft, organic, curvilinear forms. This is a direct nod to mid-century modern, postmodern, and even Art Deco shapes, but executed with a contemporary sensibility. Why? Because curves are psychologically soothing. They feel friendly, approachable, and safe. In a modern room full of rectangular windows, flat-packed square shelving, and linear tech, introducing curves is the fastest way to soften the entire atmosphere, and vintage pieces are a treasure trove for this. Look for a vintage kidney-shaped coffee table, a tulip-style dining table, a chair with a rounded, enveloping back, or a floor lamp with a graceful arched neck. These pieces act as sculptural elements that break up the monotony of straight lines. The beauty of this trend is its versatility. You don't need to commit to a large, curved sofa. You can start small. A vintage round mirror can instantly soften a wall of square gallery frames. A set of vintage ceramic vases with rounded bodies on a sleek, linear mantelpiece creates a beautiful visual counterpoint. Even the simple act of replacing harsh, angular cabinet hardware with vintage, curved brass pulls can completely change the feel of a kitchen. When styling, think about flow. Curves encourage the eye to move gently around the room. Place your curved vintage piece in a way that creates a visual pathway. For instance, an arched floor lamp can draw the eye up from a curved sofa to a round ceiling light fixture. This creates a rhythm that is far more natural and relaxing than a space dominated by 90-degree angles. It's a gentle reminder that a home should be a soft place to land, and these vintage curves are the perfect tool to achieve that feeling. Idea number 4. Statement lighting as a sculptural element. Alright, we've arrived at idea number 5. And this is the one I'm most excited about, because it has the single biggest impact for the least amount of effort. Statement: vintage lighting. For too long, lighting was an afterthought, a basic fixture just to provide light. Now, we understand that lighting is jewelry for your home. It's the sculptural centerpiece that can define an entire room's aesthetic. And vintage lighting is unmatched in this department. Think of a massive, brass Sputnik chandelier from the space age hanging in a minimalist dining room, or a delicate Murano glass bubble chandelier from the 70s illuminating a modern bathroom, or a single sculptural ceramic table lamp from the 80s on a clean-lined desk. These pieces are functional art. They become the conversation starter, the focal point that everything else in the room subtly supports. The trending approach in 2025 is to go bigger and bolder than you think you should. That small chandelier you found, it will probably look more impactful if it's slightly oversized for the space. This creates a daring designer-lie look. The contrast between a hypermodern space and a dramatic, vintage light fixture is incredibly powerful. It immediately tells a story and shows a confident design hand. Now, a crucial practical tip. Always have a vintage light fixture professionally rewired before you install it. Safety is non-negotiable. But once that's done, the world is your oyster. Don't be afraid to mix eras. A 1920s Art Deco lamp can look phenomenal next to a 1990s Memphis-style side table. It's all about the shared quality of being a unique, statement-making object. By choosing vintage lighting, you are guaranteed to have a piece that no one else has, making your home truly one of a Idea number 5. The thrifted gallery wall beyond basic frames. The gallery wall is a classic, but in 2025, the thrifted and collected gallery wall is having a major moment. We're moving away from buying a matching set of prints online and towards creating a truly personal collage of finds that have been gathered over time. This is about storytelling on your walls. It's slow decor, and it's infinitely more interesting. So, what goes on this wall? Everything. It's not just about framed art. It's about vintage botanical prints you find in a dusty bin at a flea market. It's about a beautiful, cracked plate with a pattern you love. It's a fragment of an antique tapestry, a vintage souvenir scarf from a place you adore, a small, ornate mirror, or even a piece of vintage architectural salvage, like a carved wood corbel. The key is that each piece has a presence and a patina. The framing is just as important as the art itself. Hunt for vintage frames in a variety of styles, finishes, and sizes. A thick, ornate gold frame next to a thin, simple black wood frame next to a natural, unfinished oak frame. The mix is what gives it energy and eclecticism. Lay the arrangement out on the floor first. Play with the composition until it feels balanced, not symmetrical. You want it to feel like a collection that grew organically. This idea is the ultimate expression of the modern vintage philosophy. It rejects the idea of a finished room. It's an ever-evolving project. It encourages you to be a curator, not just a consumer. Every time you travel or visit a flea market, you can keep an eye out for a new piece to add. This not only makes your space deeply personal, but also incredibly sustainable. You're giving new life to discarded objects and creating a visual diary of your life and tastes right there on your wall. And there you have it. 5 modern vintage ideas that are truly defining 2025. Warm minimalism, quiet luxury textures, curvilinear shapes, statement lighting, and the thrifted gallery wall. The common thread through all of these is intentionality. It's about choosing pieces, both new and old, with care, focusing on quality, sustainability, and most importantly, personal connection. Remember, this isn't about following rules perfectly. It's about mixing and matching these ideas to create a home that feels authentically you. Start with one idea that really resonated with you. Maybe this weekend, you visit a local flea market with the goal of finding one piece of well-loved wood, or one unique vintage frame for your gallery wall. The journey is the best part. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, keep designing a life you love, one beautiful space at a time.